In this video, we're going to revise the firm and market structure that is reading 13 of CFA Level 1 curriculum. So, the main objective of this reading is to understand the different types of market structures and the price and output determination of firm in those market structures, that is perfect competition, monopolistic, oligopoly, and monopoly. We will analyze these market structures by using factors of five factors, that is number of sellers, differentiation, barriers to entry, pricing for a firm, and non-price competition. So let's start with perfect competition. So what does perfect competition mean? A perfect competition is a situation where there are many number of buyers and many number of sellers in the market, and the goods are homogeneous, that is similar, and there are low barriers to entry that anyone can enter into the market quickly, and pricing power of firm is none because the price is determined by the market forces, and there is no advertisement and no product differentiation cost in perfect competition. The best example of perfect competition is a vegetable market to say, and monopolistic competition is a situation where there are many number of buyers, but there's a product differentiation in goods, but barriers to entry are low and pricing power is somewhat determined by the firm, the producer or the supplier. And there is an advertisement and product differentiation cost. There is huge advertisement product differentiation cost. So let's say best example for monopolistic competition is mobile market, laptop, and technology market. And oligopoly where there are few number of sellers. So the products are homogeneous, that is similar. So barriers to entry are high due to high cost for establishing the organization, and pricing power is somewhat determined by the firm, and there is advertisement and product differentiation cost too. Best example for oligopoly market is the oil refinery industries too, and monopoly is where there is only sorry single seller. So the number of sellers is one, and product differentiation, the product is unique, and barriers to entry are so high, and pricing power is to the favor of the producer, and advertisement cost is there in the market. So we already have discussed the elasticity of demand in theory of demand and supply. Let's get quickly. So there is a little change in price, have a severe change in quantity demand. So the demand curve is horizontal to the x-axis, that is it is also called as horizontal demand curve, or perfectly elastic, where the elasticity is infinite. A little change in price has an infinite change in quantity demanded. Perfectly inelastic demand says that whatever the change in price that does not have any impact on the elasticity. So elasticity is zero. There's not an impact on quantity demand. So elasticity is zero. It is also called as vertical demand curve. So when the change in quantity demand is equals to change in price, it is unitary elastic demand. But change in quantity demand is more when compared to change in price. It is elastic or relatively elastic demand. But change in quantity demanded is less when compared to change in price. It is relatively inelastic demand. So movements along demand curve, that is when there is change in price, the quantity demanded changes. So that a different price and quantity demanded movements, uh, the there is a change occurs on the demand curve itself. The points changes on the demand curve. But however, shift in demand curve is situation where occurs due to factors other than price, that is relative goods and income of consumers effect. So the demand curve will move upward, that is increase in demand, or decrease in demand, that is leftwards, right or left. So next we move on to the consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is what the consumer is willing to pay for particular good, and difference between what the consumer is willing to pay and what he actually pays. So in this graph, look at this graph. The consumer is willing to pay this price, but consumer is willing to pay this price, but he actually paid this price. So this portion of region is the consumer surplus, that is benefit to the consumer. So next we start with the market structures, and we determine market structures with market demand supply equilibrium points. So market demand is downward sloping, that is a market determined price when the price is high, the quantity demand is low, and market demand is determined by market demand and supply curves. So the equilibrium price and quantity should be derived. So individual demand curve is horizontal, that is the firm does not have any pricing power in perfect competition. Whatever the price market determines, it should uh, sell its goods at that point. So the demand and average revenue and marginal revenue are the same. And supply, when price is high, the producer are willing to supply more goods, and vice versa. And short run equilibrium So in firms, every firm want to maximize its profit. So in order to maximize profit, what firm can do is it should produce the level of quantity where marginal cost equals to marginal revenue and marginal cost curve cuts marginal revenue from below. So here you can see that this is marginal revenue, this is marginal revenue curve, and this is marginal cost curve. At this quantity, the firm can achieve maximum profits. So this is a price which they determine, this is a cost, and this region is a profit. The shaded region is profit to the firm. So the firm can earn supernormal profits in the short run. The even perfect competition can also earn supernormal profit in the short run. However, in long run, uh, same, the quantity is determined where marginal revenue equals to marginal cost, but the price is equals to average cost. That is, firms cannot earn supernormal profit. Firm can earn only economic profit. Firm can earn only normal profit. That is, it can cover it explicit as well as implicit cost. Here, the economic profit is zero. That doesn't mean the accounting profit is zero, because we already included all the implicit as well as explicit cost in the in while calculating average cost. So let's move on to the monopolistic competition, where demand is downward sloping. That is, when the firm want to sell more quantity, it will reduce price, and when the firm increases its price, the quantity demand will reduce. So supply is upward because when in market price is high, the supplier want to produce more, and vice versa. And short run equilibrium, same, the short run equilibrium where firms want to achieve maximum profits. So what they can do is they can produce output where marginal revenue curve cuts marginal cost, marginal revenue equals to marginal cost, and MC curve cuts MR from below. So at this quantity, the firm can gain a normal maximum profit. So this is price and this is cost. The difference is the profit to so the firms can earn supernormal profits or economic profits in the short run. But however, in the long run, so the profit maximizing situation is MC curve equal to MR curve. In long run equilibrium, where same, the demand, marginal revenue, everything remains, but at marginal revenue equals to marginal cost curve at this quantity, the firm can determine its price. But average cost curve meets at the price. That is, even the firms, even the monopolistic competition firms in the long run cannot achieve supernormal profits or economic profits, because the competitors will copy their innovation or their innovation and make them as a normal equal. So they cannot even earn supernormal profits in the short run, in the long run, sorry, in the long run. So yeah, but you can see that in long run equilibrium of the perfect competition, the firm can achieve at minimum average cost. But in in monopolistic competition, this is a minimum point. So the firm need to produce this quantity, but it cannot achieve this quantity because in perfect competition there is no advertisement and research and development cost. So it can reach its minimum cost. However, in monopolistic competition, it has to incur advertisement and research and development cost. So it cannot reach its minimum cost. So it can have cost little higher than minimum point. So the price at this quantity, and this is optimal price that the firm can determine, and even the firms can earn only normal profits, and no economic profit will be zero in long run. So that's what I wrote down it here. Okay. Yeah. Next, oligopoly. Uh, Oligopoly is a situation where there is only a few sellers and a large buyers. So in oligopoly, demand can be analyzed by using King demand curve, Cournot assumption, Nash equilibrium, Stackelberg model. So let's move on to the King demand curve first. What does King demand curve mean? King demand curve is a summation of two demand curves. That is, one is increase in price and one is decrease in price. So in order to understand the graph, first look at this. When price increases, when competitor increases price of his goods, uh, the other firms will not increase their price because they can attract the consumers of the competitor who has increased their price and increase their quantity demanded. But when competitor reduces his price, the other firm should reduce their prices in order to keep their consumers in hold, their clients or consumers in hold. So not to reduce their quantity demand, they need to reduce their price. So you can see this is the King demand curve is summation of two demand curves, that is increase in price demand curve and decrease in price demand curve. So when we merge two demand curves, there is a kink in demand curve. So at this point, the increase in price or decrease in price have a same effect. So this is the optimum price the oligopoly market can put on their products. So next move on to the Cornet assumption. So Cornet assumption says that a firm determines its profit maximizing output by assuming that the other firms in the market will keep their output constant. And the Stackelberg model to describe the same, that is here there is a leader firm, dominant firm over present over in the market. So when dominant firm chooses its outputs, the remaining firms, what they do is they will react to the changes done by the dominant firm, and they will change the level of production and level of pricing. So we can see in the graph the dominant oligopoly curve, that is this is a demand curve, marginal revenue and marginal cost curve of a dominant firm. So the So the market demand curve and market cost is this, and the difference in quantity produced between the dominant firm and quantity market is produced. The difference in units is produced by the remaining smaller firm. Okay, then okay. Next, Nash equilibrium is described by using game theory. Uh, Game theory, what it tells us that when two companies in an economy, two firms try to come into in duopoly market situation, when two firms come into contract with each other, that they both need to produce a certain level of output. When uh, both the firms honors the agreement, then they can earn a profit of one profit each. But when any party cheats, the cheated party will get more benefit than the other party. You can see in the graph. And but when both the party cheats, they both can earn profits which is less than what they honored. So monopoly in the final market structure is monopoly, where demand curve, marginal revenue, marginal cost, average cost is described in the graph. So optimum price is where I told you, anywhere in any market, the optimum price is where marginal cost equal to marginal revenue and marginal cost curve got marginal revenue from below. So natural monopoly. Uh, Natural monopoly. Natural monopoly, where there is a regulation in the monopoly market, that is whatever the price, the that is whenever there is a regulation present in the market, what they do is they always try to uh, the monopoly market or any firm will always try to produce where it can achieve maximum profits. However, the regulation want to produce its quantity such that its price is demand its average revenue equals marginal cost, so that the quantity will be so huge that it is available to the people. But if the but if they produce at this quantity, they was unable to even recover their average cost too. This is average cost. They were unable to even recover their average cost. So what government do is subsidize this shaded region, so that they can earn zero economic they can earn zero economic profits, and can increase their production. So price discrimination, consumer surplus. uh, what the firms can do is they charge as perfect competition, because there is a threat to entity that there may be, if they charge higher price, there's a new competitor who can enter into the market. So they will determine lower prices as that of a perfect competition. Or if there is no such a threat, then the firm always try to extract the entire consumer surplus from the consumers or customers. So they will extract the entire consumer surplus in three ways: first degree, second degree, and third degree price discrimination. Where first degree, they will charge each customer with a price that he is willing to pay. That is, as we have uh, discussed in the graph here. This he will try to cover this entire portion. So that is what we can see in first degree price discrimination. And in second degree price discrimination, uh, it is based on the quantity. That is, when the consumer is purchasing more quantity, he is given a less price. But a consumer who is willing to purchase lower quantity, he is charged with a higher price. And third degree price discrimination is what the price is charged for different areas and different different ages and different demographic regions, the price is charged differently. So econometric approach is what is the market power for the firm. It is either perfectly a monopoly, oligopoly, or monopolistic competition. What is the market power of the firm? It can be determined by elasticity. That is, when elasticity is high, the market power is low, and when elasticity is low, market price is high. And we can also compute econometric approach by using regression analysis. Where we do is what we do here is we will compare the data of a current with previous periods, uh, and cross-sectional analysis, regression analysis is what we do with, we compare our data with that of competitors. And to measure the market share of firms, or to measure the concentration of the firms present over in the market, so we can calculate that by using two formulas: concentration ratio and Herfindahl-Hirschman index. So sum of market share of largest 10 firms by market share. So Herfindahl-Hirschman index is an addition to concentration ratio, that limitation that each when one firm has a significant dominance, it will have less effect in Herfindahl-Hirschman index when there is merger takes place in this firm. So it will have a less effect of that. So thank you.